Welcome, everybody. In addition to this being the final board meeting, which means you'll see us do some business, we are also intending this to be the annual member meeting, which means you'll see some team presentations where we could talk more about all the things that we accomplished this year with a specific highlight for things since September, because we have been busy this whole year. So I want to start off with all the board volunteers to keep your picture on, make sure you rename yourself so that you have your title, and all of the members, if you could turn your videos off so that we can both celebrate all the volunteers, but also take an end of year picture. So we did it the first meeting, but January was a tough month. You may remember it was like the size of 3 months, is how big January was. But if we go ahead and take a team picture, all the volunteers, pictures on, pictures on, smiling, finish primping. Are we all good? Okay, we're gonna do quick screenshots. I guess I'm gonna do it. Hold on one second. Okay, 3, 2, 1. For pretends that worked. Not really. Uh, okay, I'm gonna do more screenshots. If not, we'll take it from the video. Um, on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, everybody, for participating in that. What I would love for everybody come back on camera and let's give all the volunteers a round of applause. Whether we hear you, you do it emoji-wise, just in a year where some chapters have to dissolve because there's not enough support, volunteers or otherwise, or members. This is a remarkable feat that not only are we 20 some years strong, but we have enough volunteers and members to keep going for another year. So celebrating all of us and all of that. To start off with some board business, we do need a motion to approve last month's minutes. Do I have a motion for that?
Ed moves to approve.
Karen will
Thank you.
second.
Karen seconds. Is there any objections to approving last month's minutes? No? Okay. Any abstentions? Okay, then that means last month's November's minutes for our meeting has been approved unanimously. So I will start off with a few words and acknowledgments. Not only do I want to acknowledge all the volunteers, there are a few of us who are rolling off this year going into next, which means we've turned out of our roles, and also we've been around a long time that we need a break. So we being not me, because I get to come back next year, but shout out to Gretchen and Sam and Joel. Is there anybody else I have not named? Okay, thank you all for your service. Joel and Sam, 5 and 4 years. And so that is a good chunk of time. That is some COVID years wrapped up in investing in our chapters. So thank you so much for your service. And as part of our year-end review, I kind of want to take us through some of the key programs that we've added, been a part of, brought back this year. And in case you haven't met me, because I realize I haven't even said my name is Tiffany. And this year I get to serve as president. So thank you not only for your votes and your volunteers, but for continuing to support the chapter. So we survived another year. Um, Part of what I want to kind of list through are some things that we have done, and I'm going to part share our website and part share, I guess, links into the chat as well, because I think it's important that we get the chance to be able to learn how to navigate our website, but know that all the resources that we have as members, as volunteers, are also on the website. So I'm going to do a little bit of screen share there. And with the way that Zoom goes, you have the chance to not only see the website, but I do believe you have the opportunity to still see all the members that are here, if you so choose. So among the things that we did do this year, starting at the beginning of the year. If you go under events, you can click on events, or you could click on the drop down and go to any specific events. But we did start Member Connect under C3 of chapter events. So this was the calendar year where we, instead of new member town hall or, one member town hall or another, we didn't do event announcements. We did a gathering, which became a lot of important conversations and referrals. We did a programming launch meeting where all the programs got to be together. And for those who don't know, not only do you get a list of events, you could switch to calendar view because that was some of the feedback that came out of the member events. In addition to programming launch, you could see how fast my computer is moving, I am pretty sure. So we love that month calendar view. We were just a little bit laughing, a little bit just reminiscing about January. We started off with a wildfire response and designing what that meant for us to show up for ourselves in coaching and in community. We have now upgraded that with a push of Julia Zaw to be a disaster response. And we will continue to have this going into next year and beyond, so that this is a way not only for us to connect with community members, but to be able to show where and how coaching is a part of our community and can be a part of the impact that we create in the world so that we can be that change. In addition to the wildfire response, the disaster response, there is now a place for community care. So that means that in the community where we get in touch with government, local government officials, and we say, hey, we recognize that there's a need here, you can send everybody to this one page and everybody not only gets an understanding for what coaching is, they could sign up. So we've got volunteer trained coaches who are now participating and being matched with members of the community. And specifically, this was shared out through channels into the Altadena community as well. So that is some of what we did this year. We brought back our International Coaching Week events. So most of this is in the top part of our navigation bar here. And we did the Coast to Coast, which is our third year running. We do have plans to bring this again next year. Not only did we bring in launch events this year, but this became a year where we intentionally made it trauma informed so that we can all individually participate in being a part of servicing the community and supporting those impacted by the wildfires. So the step-by-step stays here all year, but we also get to see how participation was shaped across all the chapters because we had quite a few chapters that joined. Matter of fact, they're asking us to bring this back next year. That is what an impression that we have in fact made. So you can go to this page and be able to see our year over year progress, knowing that we started tracking more of the supervision and the mentor coaching. So we've even expanded what we've tracked, as well as who could get involved and who could donate pro bono pieces to that. In addition to the Coast to Coast, especially if you go under chapter news, and then chapter news, there is a place for all the newsletters to go. And I bring you down to this. This was a lot, I know, but I think we named in March Chapter Excellence. So for the third year in a row, this chapter, the Los Angeles chapter, has been named an award winner by Global, to the point where not only are we 3 years in a row, but they're like, we should probably make a way for other chapters to get awards. So now we're the large chapter winner, and then there's small chapter winners and medium-sized chapter winners. So just shouting out that not only have we been able to do it not once but twice, but now 3 years running. And so shout out to Samantha Kramer, who served as our president last year, for being able to lead us to such a huge key area. In addition to this, we have not only earned recognition through Global, we have been able to complete some new bylaws. So that was on the Ask of Global. We've done different things like the Converge ticket giveaway. So for those of us, there was about 70 of us who were actually at Converge. And actually, quick show of hands, who here went to Converge? So fun to be able to hug everybody in person. And also, I got my s'mores and bonfire because you know I was trying for that, right? Right? Shout out to everybody who we got to see back then in San Diego. So thank you all for coming. Not only do we have the Converge, but there's a lot more that we have in fact done as a chapter. And so this feels like a most appropriate time to pass it on to our first team announcements and presentations. And so I believe it's Gretchen that's going to come up after me. Gretchen.
Hi, everybody. So good to see you. I love this chapter. So, how long do we have for the team presentations? How long did you want us to talk?
7 minutes.
Oh, 7 whole minutes. Okay. I don't know that I have 7 minutes worth, but here's what I do have. You
For
know,
Julie and
when
I too, Gretchen. So seven
Oh,
minutes
okay,
for all
good.
three of us. Great.
Okay, thank God, because I'm like, Edward, I didn't prep for 7. I prepped for like 2. So when I'm thinking about this past year, I really think of it kind of over the 2 years that Edward and I have been doing the events. And what we really wanted to make sure that we did, what we were striving to do, was to make the chapter and events engaging, to make them something that the members were talking about in between the event actually happening. And I'll tell you, I was talking to someone today and she said, I was so sad that there wasn't a November event. And this wasn't a coach that I knew. It was someone who had reached out to me about something else. And so, what I know about this is it's working. You know, we spent a lot of time thinking about our topics, our speakers, making sure that there was diversity within the topics and the speakers as well. And then we spent a lot of time, Edward spent a lot of time really looking for a new location as well that showed what LA is. You know, the Skirball was great, the parking was great there, but I have to say that our new place that we are having the events, it really looks like LA with the whole, you know, being able to see the city and having the separate room for us to be able to meet with people and to do the networking before we go into the actual content. So Edward and I are both liking that. The other thing too is that we worked it up to be so great that we had a sold out event. You know, we had not had that. I don't know the last time ICFLA has had. I don't know if it ever did, you know. So yay for all of us for bringing in such great energy with it. You know, I really want to thank Karen. She was there at that table every single time, and Layla and Julia, you know, that all of these people really helped us with our events on the ground as well. And I think, too, as a board, we did a good job inviting people. That was the other piece of this, too. Next year, I will not be on the board, but I am still helping, you know, kind of here and there with different things. We already have our topic for January. We expect that to be really good. But I am proud of everything that Edward and I turned out and really looking forward now that, you know, COVID's over, that hopefully we have rejuvenated C3, that people know that you do want to come to these events. You don't want to miss out. You want to make sure that you are in the room, not just the Zoom room, but in the room to be able to see people. With that, Edward, I'll turn it over to you.
Actually, we're going to turn it over to Julia. Julia, if you could just share your presentation, and her presentation is about 4 minutes. So, Julia, if you can share your screen, include the audio if you could.
Hello everyone, can you hear my voice?
Mhm.
Yeah. Hello, good afternoon everywhere. I am really happy to share the highlights of our programming and achievement for 2025. So here, especially board member already know much of this, and for associate member, I will make sure to provide a high level picture of what we have done in 2025. Oh, can you see the screen as well?
Yes,
Not only my
yes, we
voice?
can.
Yeah. Okay. So this year, our programming work was both strong and meaningful. And across all our offering, we deliver 165 events and nearly 100 CCE, 96.25 CCE to be exact. Most importantly, this incredible programming engaged 1,770 attendees across the year. So this number truly speaks to the vibrant community we help build, with coaches showing up, learning, and growing with us throughout the year. And as Gretchen just shared, our quarterly C3 gathering were phenomenal this year. And C3 is one of the great piece of our pizza. I would like to spotlight all other pillars that deliver together continued value to our members. Together, they create a full ecosystem of learning. Some offer deeper development, some create connection and practice, and other also provide accessible high-level education. So across the board, members consistently found value, community, and professional growth. So the success of this event, I wasn't just showing measured by this number, it was also proven by the positive feedback we collect from our community. And let's check it out. So they show how our programming impacted coaches in skills, confidence, and connection, right? And second, they are the invitation. Every testimonial encourages others to join, participate, and contribute. So if the program stood out for you this year, we would love to hear your story as well, because your voice helps us to shape what comes next. So not only that, let me celebrate with you again the recognition we get from the global. So here is the awards and the significant events we have done successfully in this year.
ICF Los Angeles is being recognized for their exceptional organizational work, including their strong commitment to DEIB successful programming, such as the Pro Bono Volunteer-led ICW initiative, and well-received conferences, and their effective governance and strategic planning. They demonstrate a clear focus on membership growth, education, and professional development while maintaining financial sustainability and advancing ICF's mission. This shows a well-organized, effective chapter that excels in engagement, sustainability, and governance.
I would like to see the clap. Oh, thank you. Congratulations again. So the achievement we have just viewed as a direct result of dedication, of course, dedication of our incredible volunteer. So next, this is the appreciation is coming from my heart, from the bottom of my heart, and as well as from our programming team. So please join me in giving a special round of applause to these amazing facilitators and contributors. So their support, collaboration, and positive energy truly made a significant impact on our ICFLA. Thank you so much again. And we cannot forget about our coaching cafe leader as well, because the cafes are sometimes the first touch point of our new members. Warmly welcome, open spaces where coaches learn together, practice together, and build real relationship. I have seen very long-term relationship in the coaching cafe by myself. So applause to them as well. And as an AD of programming, I would like to thank to all the members in our programming, from associate director, from chapter events director to our associate member for webinars, coaching cafe, and DEI. This truly was a team effort, and your dedication and excellency are deeply appreciated. I really want to give this certificate in person, so I will send you email later to save our time. Oh, this is a surprise actually. Oh my God, I spoiled the atmosphere. So behind all this celebration, behind all this achievement, I would like to acknowledge with you all a key leader that behind all the success, our President Tiffany. As you all know, she is not serving as a president she is not just serving as a president in 2025. She is also stepped into our programming lead and communication lead, and wearing multiple hats and doing each with care and commitment is truly remarkable. Tiffany, thank you so much, and your leadership has been a major contributor to all this success we are celebrating together today. So thank you again, Tiffany. And yeah, this is the time to invite for me to Edward, who will be serving as Director of Programming in 2026. And I would love to hear, and we all love to hear his vision for 2026. Edward, floor
Great.
is yours.
I know that we are limited on time, so I'll go quickly on this. As the incoming director of programming for 2026, I just want to share some of the things, the highlights, from surveys as what we were planning to do for next year. When we did a lot of surveys, this is what we heard from our members that what they wanted: business development, conversations on artificial intelligence, skill development as coaches, to have more diversity, not just around race, but gender and ability and language, as well as we wanted members wanted more support on credentialing. So those are the foci for the next year. Part of the content that I'm working on is having quarters with focus. First quarter is about breadth, expanding the breadth of your skill development or your business development. Second quarter to talk about culture, to include diversity as well as corporate culture and how that might influence coaching purchases. Then what's next? What's next with coaching? That could be artificial intelligence. It could be about core competencies and supervision or team coaching. But to explore through our cafes, webinars, and such, what's next for coaching? And then, because of all of those conversations, going deeper in the last quarter, how can we go deeper in our practices for coaching or business development? One of the things that we are focusing on is continuing with this membership model and getting value for all of our members. Not all chapters do a membership model. So when they pay the membership model once, how do we give as much value as we can? We, just like last year, we had a lot of events and we're going to do more. Special interest groups that we are creating this year. Thank you, Freddie, and to Courtney. We're going to reintroduce the supervision special interest group. We are also going to do the emotional intelligence special interest group, and we're inviting those in. I've already seen what Heather has planned for 2026 for the webinars, and I can tell you the program is going to be extraordinary. It's something to look forward to that touches upon AI, culture, expanding skills, and such. And I promise you, we're going to change the ratio of resource developments to core competencies. We're going to make sure that everyone has core competency CCUs in addition to resource development. And something that I'm really excited about for a new virtual cafe, something that Karen is really spearheading, but is going to be taken on by Paul Sandbar. We're going to have a Spanish speaking virtual cafe. So those who are Spanish speakers, and we're going to partner with a chapter in Miami. And we just heard that the Bay Area is interested in joining in this venture as well. C3s, we're going to continue with the programming. And the fun thing that we're going to do this summer through C3s to create and connect and celebrate is we're going to have a pickleball event in August for all new members who want to join the community or learn about pickleball for our coaches. I'm going to stop there because I can go on and on. I'm so excited. So I'm going to pass it back to you, Tiffany. Thank you.
Love that. Love that. Some great announcements here. So you must stick around and support in all the ways that are possible. We now offer this up to Layla Keith, who's been our director at large and our strategic advisor to the executive leadership team.
Thanks, Tiffany. And thank you, Ed, for such a fantastic presentation. How exciting. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, very good, very good. Well, I'm really excited to be here. Welcome. And for those of you who may not know me, I am the strategic advisor to Tiffany, the ICFLA president. And I'm excited to share a little bit today about some of what we've accomplished together in building a collaborative culture at ICFLA. And so I'm really excited to share the background on the journey a little bit here on the kind of the what, the why and the how, and what we were kind of challenged with, what we were trying to solve for, and our vision for a unified chapter focused on shared purpose and inclusive culture, and introducing themes like better together and frameworks that would really support us for chapter success. And with those three pillars, I would call them, is the approach that we put into place with process, people, and tracking as the foundation for chapter success. And we operationalized our strategy. And with processes, we launched a new dashboard for the comms team to drive decision making and strategy, and a new goal tracker we also introduced for all verticals to support clarity, a big picture view of what each vertical was planning and executing. I partnered with Tiffany to create and implement the 2025 goal tracking process and reporting for transparency and accountability within the verticals. And we innovated, we automated, and we operationalized drafting the annual chapter report using AI and this new goal tracking report. And for those of you who don't know, this was a 20-hour process for submission and creation. We got it down to 4 hours with this new process. And for people, we fostered a regular brainstorming sessions, invited cross-functional and cross-vertical partnerships, DEI preparation for later integration with measurable outcomes. We enacted 3-person decision committees to identify the next president, vetting and onboarding of new paid and volunteer staff, new processes, roles that will empower the chapter. And by tracking metrics, we knew when we hit 1,500 subscribers for our newsletter, and how changes made really resonated with our subscribers and audience. And 1,500 subscribers is a significant number as we report that out to our sponsors for reach and impact. And it also helps us attract and maintain key sponsorships. And this approach and tools really helped us identify trends in membership levels so we could intervene, investigate membership metrics like what you heard from Ed, and impact quickly, leading to faster response time and reduced member resolution wait time, right? We all like reduced wait time, right? And then I'm really excited to talk about more specifically some of these achievements with my new role, because I transitioned from leading the comms team to pioneering this new role of strategic advisor to Tiffany, to the president. And I'm excited to share that we accomplished a lot together. We championed connection, elevated the voice of our members, which you heard Julia and Ed talking about, elevating the voice of our sponsors, internal and external chapter stakeholders. I supported the chapter in conceptualizing the execution of new initiatives and like upcoming book clubs, focus on trauma-informed coaching. You heard Tiffany talking about that in our crisis response resources, the neurodiversity, the women in leadership, elevating representation of women of color coaches, the diversity in our panels and speakers. And I secured some sponsorships for advancing in our sponsorship model, and as well as advance some of the integration of DEI principles throughout programming. In this role, I was also able to procure candidates and new volunteers, leaders for strategic roles to support IT, DEI, comms, and the programming team. I have skilled volunteers with Zoom facilitation training to increase confidence, engagement, and intentionality, contributing to elevated event participant experiences that you heard Gretchen and Ed talking about. I gathered new testimonials for our website and social media beyond our event surveys to elevate member and attendee voices, and created a template for optimization. And I provided some ACC credentialing exam support, boosting member connection, success, upskilling, and engagement. But it is not just about optimizing one role at ICFLA. It's about what's possible when we lead together, which you heard Tiffany talking about, and we really leaned into that in 2025. And today we're celebrating what we accomplished together in 2025, and setting a clear, energizing direction for building an even more collaborative ICFLA culture in 2026. And what we achieved together was increased membership engagement, inclusion, satisfaction, powerful testimonials now featured on our homepage, highlighting our impact, more engaging, highly interactive, high impact event experiences, stronger feedback loops that improve processes, programming, and chapter culture, a renewed DEI effort and focus that expanded reach and strengthened our programming and deepened member connection. And how we reimagined what's possible was demonstrated in how we collaborated, communicated, connected, and innovated across teams and within the community. We strengthen communication, trust, cross-vertical synergy, and collaboration across teams. We encourage broader thinking, diverse perspectives, new ideas, and growth opportunities. We advanced innovation and process improvement. We activated our 3 pillars to guide programming and forge a collaborative culture. We elevated volunteer and member involvement and leveraged their talents for greater impact and chapter growth. And why this work matters is, and you heard this word today multiple times, it deepens our engagement, our alignment, our member satisfaction. It also reinforces ICF global standards, and it unifies teams around shared goals and purpose for greater impact. It drives our innovation, continuous improvement, and more inclusive member experience, strengthens our trust, our leadership development, our chapter-wide collaboration, and beyond. Now you're hearing us talking about we're collaborating with other chapters. And all in all, this directly shaped our 2025 programming, our events, our member experience, and our community connection. And our path forward is clear, leading together to reach new heights. Teams are now equipped to build actionable roadmaps, set priorities, and measure impact. Regular follow-up meetings will support alignment, accountability, learning, progress, impact tracking, and move ideas to action. Action plans will clarify priorities, ownership, and tracking to keep momentum strong and ensure continuous learning and improvement. Chapter leaders will continue sharing responsibility and collaboratively defining next steps to sustain progress and a collaborative culture. And recognizing collaboration and leadership is key here, and we're excited to be talking about it today. Our chapter thrives because of collective leadership. Every contribution matters. Even as roles evolve, volunteer impact continues to shape success and the success of our chapter. Today, I'd like to honor, and you will hear their name multiple times today, 2 chapter champions whose dedication, leadership, and embodiment of our vision, our mission, our values have helped drive meaningful impact within ICFLA and the broader coaching community. Please join me in celebrating with a round of applause our co-directors of our chapter events, Gretchen Heido, MCC, and Ed Vecito, MCC, for their dedication, their impact, and embodiment of what ICFLA stands for. Let's continue leading the way in building a collaborative, inclusive culture, one where every member thrives and contributes to something bigger than themselves. Thank you all for your collaboration, your bold ideas, and commitment to partnership this year. Your leadership is driving our chapter to new heights and shaping a remarkable future for ICFLA. Cheers to all of our board members, our subscribers. If you're here, you're part of our story, and we're grateful. Thank
Yes,
you.
we are.
I am
Thank you,
sending you
Leila.
your certificates, Gretchen and Ed.
That is delightful. Thank you, Leila. And now we move on to chapter business with our treasurer, Freddie Walkover.
Wow. We've done so much and we have so much more we can create, right? Isn't it just exciting to be part of an innovative yet foundational partner and chapter for ICF, right? With the future just brings so much energy. So quickly, we have some financial business to take care of. Everyone, the board members should have received the treasurer's report. Quick highlights: ahead of budget on overall net income, and just hats off to everybody for caring for how we spend our money and making sure that we're being smart and to maintain that balance. We actually underspent our year-to-date expenses by over $6,500. And it takes a lot to run this business, right? To run this organization. There's a lot that happens behind the scenes. Some of it costs money. And again, hats off for everybody for just doing their share to make that happen. Tiffany, do you want to call for a vote on that? Or if there's any questions on the report?
Yes. Does anybody have any questions? Any board members have questions before we move to vote? No. Okay. I will say that I had one question, and it was just around the sponsorship part. And the write-off for sponsorship was for something we did not receive in 2022. Just to clarify that, if you go back and you read that report. Do I have a move to approve the financials for last month?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Or I'm sorry, financials.
Leader motions. Do we have a second?
I second.
Joel seconds. Any objections? Abstentions? Further questions? Happy dance. Oh, I got 2 happy dances. Okay. Looks like we approved unanimously. And now take it away, Freddie, with more financial planning.
Wonderful. Well, let me share my screen here. So again, just so proud of what this organization has done. I took over as treasurer last year, and we had a solid foundation to build on. And as Layla shared, right, we're breaking down silos, really collaborating more, and that's what's driving these results. So high level, again, it takes a lot, almost $90,000 to support this organization. The orange columns here are what we budgeted, and we budgeted to come out at about $740 net income. And when you look at the blue columns, we kept those pretty much in balance. And actually, with some shifts, and I'll go through this in a moment, around what our income was and what our expenses were, ended up again just over that with $1,500 right now. We still have December that we'll process. But just really, I appreciate the care that people are putting into their decisions that translate into the financials. And the financials enable all that great programming that we're offering and continue to grow. And as we move into 2026, just having those strategic conversations of how do we want this to be different? How do we want it to be better for our members and more valuable is how this is all translating. So top line, our income, this is how it breaks out. We get about 50% of our income from global rebates from ICF Global, another 30% from our local membership model, which is, again, the bulk of what comes in to be able to fund our operations. For non-members and C3 and other things where we actually do charge to help supplement some of this, the cost to put on, and doesn't cover it all. About 12% of our income comes from that, another 8% from sponsorship. So again, hats off to Lita and Layla and Tiffany, everybody that helped drive these sponsorship models. I think we're creating value for our members and value for our sponsors, and our sponsors are creating value for our members too, right? Just by their involvement. From an expense standpoint, here's how it breaks out. It again takes a lot to run the operation. About 30% for our website, another 28% for the administrative virtual assistant support. All the different things that we offer takes a lot of work behind the scenes to coordinate Zoom and to make the website do what it does. Our C3 events, again, we love Hotel Angelino and cost there, and being able to put on a production, an event that has value for our members. It runs about 17%. Another 12% for board expenses, but as Tiffany called out, we gave away some of our Converge tickets to Converge, right? Offering that as a value, and that was about 60% of that 12%. So again, we do smart things to spend money wisely, and insurance and professional services kind of round us out in the big buckets. So we have to protect ourselves, we have to make sure that we're being fiduciarily responsible, and we actually get credit for that from Global on being able to lead the way. When I look at what do we do, what are we proud of? Every month we go through our financials, a little more detail than I did just before this presentation, but just digging in and making sure we're holding ourselves accountable for delivering what we need to for our members. We have cash reserves. We've planned. We have had a CD to earn interest on our money, so that should something happen, should rules change, we can sustain operations for a number of months. It's important, again, to continue to be able to create that value for our members. And we do and held to some standards to report all of our financials to ICF Global so they can make sure that we're doing things properly. Some of the initiatives that we did launch this year, we have a flexible and virtual debit card so that if we have an event that happens, we can easily carve out some money, safely provide it for somebody to be able to put that event on and fund it without as much risk from scams and such. And again, be able to do it very quickly. We're migrated and just completed that migration to Bank of California from Wells Fargo. We were finding it awfully difficult as every year we have new officers and new signers. So building flexibility in how we operate is important. And this transition is allowing us to do that. And the other piece, especially as we think about what we've accomplished this year and moving into next year with our strategy discussions, really looking at activity-based budgeting. What do we expect to happen? How many members, how many attendees, to be able to build it up and just continue to fine tune how we budget, how we plan, because that's going to enable us to do more when we're planning better and spending money wisely. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Freddie, for all the hard work behind the scenes and in front of the screen, I will say, as far as keeping us on track and helping us to track our decisions. Up next, we have Director of Membership and President-elect, Karen Ezell.
Hello, everyone. I will also share my screen. Okay, so the membership team. We have overall goals of increasing chapter membership. For our own definitions here, we define that as people who pay our annual $90 chapter dues. We also want to increase global membership. We call those people global associates. Those are the folks who on their ICF global profiles checks the box that says I'm affiliate. Oh, there should be a global affiliate. That I am affiliated with the Los Angeles chapter. So they don't necessarily have to pay our chapter dues and belong as chapter members. But as we saw from Freddie's presentation, a big portion of our income as a chapter comes from what is called global rebates. So those folks who check the box on their global profile, that ends up in Los Angeles getting money from global. We want to increase those numbers as well. And then last but certainly not least, we want to maintain or exceed credentialing of our members at 65%. That's a global goal that they wish us to meet. And when we look at our numbers, for everyone who's checked that global box for Los Angeles, we're at like 66 or 67% credentialed, which is amazing. However, at the chapter level, we are at 87%. So we exceed by a long shot, we exceed our global numbers and the global goal that they've set for us. So that's, which I find amazing. And we'll get to that in a minute. So in listening to both programming and to Layla, our director at large, their presentations, I see so much that goes on in the front of, like, everyone sees it. And I realized that a lot of what we did this year was behind the scenes. We have now put together our member engagement plan, which is just sort of how we're going to engage people. So it's Member Connect, which is our approximately monthly meeting with anyone who's interested in ICF Los Angeles. It's how we use Engage. It's our email sequences. That's in place for the incoming membership team. We had a series of behind the scenes. Well, for most people, it was behind the scenes. For some, it was very much in front of you. We had a number of glitches in our membership website, and the team here ended up having to work with our IT people, our virtual assistant, and then the members to figure out sort of what went wrong and resolve those issues. So again, the vast majority of people would not have seen those efforts. But we had a lot of work to do behind the scenes as sort of things snowballed, and then it got completely out of control. And we spent a lot of time getting our existing system sort of back to level ground, which I feel was a huge accomplishment. We, again, as Layla mentioned, we participated in the board of directors nomination committee, and then we facilitated the election for the 2026 board. Thrilling that, as much as it was hard work to find the people who were willing to step up and who wanted to make a difference and be involved, I am also extremely grateful that so many people stepped up and are interested in being involved. And even after the election, we had more people come forward to say, hey, I'd like to be involved in this effort or that committee or that team. And that's pretty amazing. As Tiffany mentioned at Converge, we heard from other chapters who can't find enough volunteers to keep the chapter running. And we don't have that problem. Instead, we have amazing people who are really talented and committed and dedicated who step forward and want to be involved. We're so lucky to have this. This year, we review the volunteer application process. And we also participated in Converge 25, both from the standpoint of I was on the committee to review proposals, and I volunteered at Converge just at the registration desk, which was a lot of fun, by the way. And then all of the, I think the collaborations we started and the conversations we started there will carry on, not just with the San Diego chapter, but with some others that we connected with as well. So that's exciting. Some of what we are doing, these are sort of near-term projects is what I'm calling them. These things are underway already. They're just not quite completed. We have a new student membership discount program coming up. That's like, just got to get the paperwork out to people. We are midway, 3/4 of the way through updating the volunteer job descriptions for ICF Los Angeles. And then we'll update the contact list and the organizational chart for 2026. As part of that effort, because we have new volunteers coming in, we have some folks who are now leaving us at the end of their terms, we update the website with our 2026 board members and the volunteer teams. And part of that, we will be adding pages for, which we don't currently have, our cafe leaders, our webinar hosts. I really want to showcase the number of people that we have who are volunteering and making a difference for our members. We're in the middle of doing clarifying, let's see. We don't currently have language on the website that requires that in order to be a full member of the chapter that you also have checked that Los Angeles box on your global profile. So we're going to modify our language. It's already out there, and most of us are already, we're paying dues here and we've checked the box. But I want to clarify that because I don't think it's clear from the language on the website where you are initially enrolling as a member. And then we have a number of activities that are related to both onboarding the new volunteers and offboarding the ones who are resigning or who are leaving their office. And that's underway both this month, particularly for those who are leaving office. And then at the beginning of the term for next year, there's a few activities that all of us new board members have to undertake to be sort of compliant with global requirements. And then we also have an annual member survey that we do regarding sort of programming and how the chapter can support our members. And that got sort of lost in the shuffle of, we had the election come up, which we actually did earlier than we normally do, but that sort of pushed off the membership survey. So that's ready to go out now. And I'm hoping to do that before, like with enough time so that it can be done before the holidays. And then we have some future projects. As I mentioned, we had some concerns with the membership, our WordPress membership, WordPress MemberPress software. And we are looking at undertaking a project to identify, is there a product that will serve us better? The current system is a little bit like duct taped together. It's a bunch of pieces that don't necessarily work well together in the way we want them to. We've added more and more pieces on, trying to make it better serve our members. And I think it's gotten sort of big and unwieldy, and that's causing some of our problems. We have a couple of collaborations with other chapters. As Ed mentioned, we're looking at doing some programming in Spanish, entirely in Spanish. We are looking at partnering for some in-person cafes. And we have an effort underway already to partner with another chapter to offer leadership training for chapter boards of directors. So that's exciting. And we want to look at how we are engaging with non-ICFLA global affiliates. like how do we bring them into the fold? Whether that's meaning get them to come to some of our events to see how amazing and wonderful we are, and then they join. I don't know what that looks like yet. We are editing and updating our membership videos. There's a whole bunch of videos. If you've joined recently or been in there recently, there's a whole series of videos, how to do this, how to do that. And we want to make sure that those are up to date with our most recent technology and the requirements of global, et cetera. And then we're also with the events team, the programming team, we're looking at events pricing, particularly not so much with regard to members, but with regard to non-members. So that about wraps up what we are doing. Let me stop sharing there. And I think more of our work will be out in front next year. It was we solve some of the bigger things behind the scenes. That gives us a chance to be more public with what's going on, or do stuff that's more visible. That's what it is. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank
And
you.
for those who are needing to go at the top of the hour, yes, applause for Karen. We've got sponsorship next, and we might push the comms communications and announcements to that last half an hour. But up next, we have Lita doing sponsorship.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lita Abella, and I am the 2025 Director of Sponsorship. So I'm wondering how many of you have actually ever gone to our website and looked at what are the sponsorship benefits, what do you get, and so forth. So I'm going to go through this very, very quickly because I know some of you may need to leave at the top of the hour. But like Layla mentioned, we have our emails and newsletters that go over now over 1,500 engaged members that review those. We have an impressive open rate on those emails and newsletters. And so just becoming a sponsor can be such a benefit to your business. And maybe if you're thinking, well, I don't know if I want to be a sponsor, but maybe you know someone, maybe you coach somebody, maybe you have a client that could be an outstanding sponsor for our chapter. So what do you get for your $2,000? You get your company name advertised at every single one of our events, including our coaching cafes, our online coaching cafes, our online virtual events. And you also get a 1-hour webinar that you get to introduce your product or services to our membership. As a sponsor, your organization's logo and information is also posted on the website, which I'm going to show you right here who our sponsors are. There we go. So for this year, I met with 12 potential sponsors, and I was able to secure 4 new sponsors, starting with Evolve Well. And I don't know if you remember, but back in May, we actually had a really unique in-person event, a conference by Evolve Well. We had about 15 ICFLA members attend that event, and it was we heard a lot of fabulous feedback from them. Also, our Evolve Well sponsors came to one of our C3 events. They introduced themselves to others. They networked. They met with a lot of potential clients for their business. So it's a win-win situation there. Simply Get clients. We had Mary Kravitz, who just gave her webinar. I believe it was just a couple of weeks ago. Another great sponsor that we have, Cohere, another sponsor that deals with online platforms. And then we created a great partnership with the National Speakers Association of Southern California. And we were able to get some of their members join our chapter, as well as some of our chapter members joined their organization. So we had a great partnership with them. And actually, they're running a great deal right now for their speaker academy, in which they're going to give ICFLA members a 20% discount, which is even more than they're giving their own members. So don't let any of their members know about that, but there's a fabulous discount for that. So I wanted to thank everybody for, especially some of the board members and members who have brought sponsors to us for 2025. And I also wanted to introduce our new sponsor that's coming in for 2026, who happens to be on the call here. And her name is Alina Ugas. Alina, would you like to say hello real quickly?
Hi, I'm so excited to be part of this community. Ed and I had already had a great conversation, and Tiffany and Karen, I see them smiling because I'm the one that makes everybody smile during the meetings. So I'm very excited to be here. Thank you, Lita.
You're welcome. And we're so excited that I'm going to be handing the baton to you. And I know you're going to be fabulous and bring some awesome sponsors to our chapter. So that's my wrap up. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Lita. And thanks to all the volunteers. We still have a little bit of the program left to go, but if you do need to go, now is the time. And because I know we're nearing the top of the hour, but I do want to say thank you again to all the volunteers who made this year possible and those who have signed up so that next year we can continue the tradition. So thank you so much for joining in that side of things. I want to transition then over to the communications team and share a little bit about who's been involved and what we've been up to. Also, because it's a little bit of a tip for you and your clients if you are a solopreneur. Do we have members of the communications team on the call today? Could you wave at everybody if you are here besides me? They're probably hiding in the background because that's what they like to do. We've done a lot of behind the scenes. So quick little screen share slide so that you get to know everybody. So this has been our comms team this year. I have Julia, who you met earlier this program. Partly she is AD of programming, but she's been very much entrenched in the comms team side of things because she wants to make sure that we know what's going on in programming, what to promote, when to promote it, and making sure that we have a plan in regards to that. So she's quality control in regards to programming and partnering with comms. It's why we're better together. We've got Carrie, who is in charge of social media. And then we've got Myra, who has been in charge of like the email campaigns, and that's come up weekly, as well as it's called the Get Connected emails. And then we've got Miguel. Some of you might remember Miguel because he used to be our webmaster years ago. He came back to be a part of the comms team and ended up doing a lot of behind the scenes data work and building out dashboards and making it possible so that we can in fact make some more informed decisions. I thought it would be fun to share a little bit more about the team and some fun facts. So Myra, you may or may not have known, but she is not a coach. She's specifically a marketer that Layla recruited. So there's a fun fact for you that Layla recruited. It's like you don't have to necessarily be a coach to be involved. We've had some really impactful things happen with non-coaches. And so Myra came in as a way to help educate us on how better to market ourselves. And so not only did she do the C3 emails and that weekly Get Connected email, but she is part of the reason why we're now over 1,500 subscribers in terms of our newsletter. And the open rate consistently is 45% and above. We're now like 51, 52% open rate. So for those that know that those numbers matter, there's some data for you. Some of the things she's specifically done with us, subject lines. They're now start with get connected so you know what messages are coming from us and as opposed to cut through the noise of all the other things. Preview text and all the SEO that you don't see. These are things that she's been working on, and she's not continuing with us because she's about to have her first baby. So celebration for Myra in that regards. We got Julia, who is, I mentioned, has been verifying events, very much been attending comms meetings and then active in the Slack channels so that we can make sure that we're promoting promoting coaches, promoting coaching, as well as promoting events. We've got Carrie, who has been working at Sprout Social. So that's my fun fact for her. So she's been leveraging her expertise and background to rebuild our entire graphics package. So we're more in alignment with C3 with ICF Global, but she's done that with like social media, how we do our video announcements so that it's not us just reading on a screen, but it's us interacting with our speakers in advance of the speaker engagement. And for that reason, ICF Austin reached out and was like, "What are y'all doing? Can we talk to you?" So again, setting the trend in that regard. I mentioned Miguel was once the webmaster. So not only has he made all these dashboards, which meant that we started changing our topics. If we started to notice too many unsubscribes, we're like, okay, that didn't hit the mark. Let us pivot. When it was back in January, February, when we were looking at how do we get the word out to members, he was the one that went through and figured out what zip code everybody was in so we could reach out and say, this is what you need to know. This is what we found out from Global. We've got you. And so those are all the ways in which we have really strove to impact and get aligned with the theme of Better Together, but we did it as get connected in terms of the communications team. And that is also why on our LinkedIn channel, you will see explainer graphics, all the different programs. So for those who don't know what a SIG is, we could tell you what the SIG is. For those who don't know what you do at a cafe, we can explain that. And so all of that is because of the comms team. And so very much want to shout out and name them all as chapter champions because I would say they're the ones that also continue to serve even after January because we had some people leave because of the volume of work was so much in January. They not only stay, they're not going to continue next necessarily for next year, but the fact that we made it through this year and they were like the stable force behind all of our communications, it's been amazing. And so I would love to do a round of applause for the comms team in particular in that moment. So this brings us to the top of the hour. Are there any announcements that we would like to make now that we've had all the presentations? Any announcements, any questions that we want to, that somebody might have in regards to the programming, what we do here?
I would just like to add that we are still
Yes.
looking for volunteers for programming, IT, sponsorship, DEI support. We love having more and more volunteers. The more we have, the better for support. So please do go on to our website and go to the interest form, which is learning more about volunteering. And you can then be connected to someone by Zoom to have a meeting about your interests and what might be the right fit for you here. We're always looking for contributions from our community and elevating the voice of our community through our volunteerism. So please do get in touch with us now and in the top of the year.
Absolutely. Thank you, Layla.